Hello, I'm the Angry Spork. When it comes to Hanna-Barbera's preeminent spectral-themed cosmic superhero, I'm more familiar with his late-night talk show, Coast to Coast, or the afternoon programming block of my youth, Cartoon Planet. I'd watch some of the old cartoons with his teen sidekicks and pet monkey, but not enough to really delve into or overthink it much. Not unlike Blue Falcon or any other HB Supers, Space Ghost felt like a very standard protagonist, fighting evil, doing what's right, but I couldn't see much in the way of a distinct personality. More archetype than person, not the only one that could be described that way, and nothing necessarily wrong with it, since sometimes a hero being a hero without some complex backstory is fine enough. Perhaps this blandness, some might call it, made the turn into a fumbling but domineering talk show host all the more memorable.
Shut up! Wow.
Yet, as we saw in Future Quest a couple years back, he can still work as a dramatic character, even if he wasn't the sole focus of that book. Nevertheless, he's bounced between different publishers over the years, and today I'm taking issue with Dynamite's rendition of the character by looking at the first installment of his latest ongoing. Let's take a look at Space Ghost number 1 and see if this comic makes us want to turn the page, or turn our heads. This one comes with a bunch of other covers. First is this one by Francesco Mattina, which might be my favorite. The colors and textures are gorgeous, and that fading effect is so nicely done. Not sure why he's charging a ki attack, but hey, maybe he's on a moon colonized by Saiyans. That angry sneer may rub some the wrong way, but that'd be my biggest criticism. Then one by Jay Lee and Jun Chung, where it looks like he's emerging from the molten core of a planet while two rock spires burn behind him, with his arms posed a little messianic. Of course, it all makes sense. His white suit, the yellow cape, his technology, the monkey, it all points to his secret origin as Magma Space Jesus. Another painted-looking one from Bjorn Barends, looking like he's in a nebula of some kind. This looks cool, but oof, his face. Looks like they kept him buff, but aged him from the 1960s. Then Michael Cho's cover, a nice retro piece featuring his allies. Certainly looks like it'd qualify for a legit promo for a home release of the series. Across the vastness of space, evil flourishes in the darkness between stars. Evil is going through an emo phase. With territory spread far and wide across the Galactic Federation, pirates and hijackers have ransacked these distant colonies with cruel disregard for the innocent scientists living within them, especially if those pirates happen to be the intergalactic equivalent of flat earthers. Yet there is a cosmic vigilante who metes out justice across the spaceways, bringing vengeance to those who prey upon the defenseless.
It's not Batman!
They call him the Written by David Pepose, with art by Jonathan Lau and Andrew Dalhouse, we begin with Space Colony Omicron under attack. Like the title page said, Dr. Jared Kepler is unable to reach Galactic Patrol, so he and his kids Jan and Jace will have to find their own way out. Okay kids, remember what to do when you see the enemy. Pretend to be barbers and sit them down for a shave and a haircut. 2 bits. As the doc starts erasing data from the mainframe, he tells Jace to keep an eye on their monkey Blip, whose importance is greater than the lad knows. If we make it to that meeting tomorrow, he'll be the new spokesmonkey for an upcoming brand of energy drinks. Jan asks what to do in the event they need to split up, thinking practically like her mom, which is a quick way to imply she's dead. Pappy hands her a blaster, since she's trained to use it. Kepler holds them close, saying he loves them, and they should remember that family always sticks together.
Then why don't you let Uncle Roy over for Space Thanksgiving anymore?
Because he says vaccines cause spontaneous combustion. So, family always sticks together to a point. As they start toward the hangar and hopefully an escape ship, Jared warns them to be careful once he opens the blast doors, and he's promptly hit by a barrage of energy blasts. It'd be funny if it weren't so tragic.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
His killer is the leader of a group of thugs, who are instructed to secure the area. Tenzit always collects his bounty. Jerry Kaplan, you failed to report for jury duty. I'm Jared Kepler! Oh, wow, that's the third time this week. Man, is that egg on my helmet. With the nerd in charge dead and the mainframe wiped, Tanzit orders the lab thoroughly searched for some prototype, with 50,000 credits to whomever finds it first. The twins are hiding, Jace certain they'll be found, but Jan prepared to go down fighting. But someone else attacks the goons. One is lasered, another set on fire, another frozen. Holy flork! Using infrared targeting, Tanzit begins losing his cool as he starts wildly firing at the invisible foe, asking why he just won't die, until he shows himself. What are you?
I'm Batman.
A ghost. But in space! Jokes aside, that is a really cool entrance, scaring the villain with an ominous presence and seeming invulnerable to his attacks. And when Tanzit finally sees him, he's still heavily obscured by shadow and dust. Really adds to the ghost moniker, don't it, folks? The hero begins knocking him around for answers, until Tanzit drops a badge of some kind from something called RoboCorp. Not terribly surprising to the ghost, who suggests they're pretty shady when he hears the siblings make an escape. Fearing the caped stranger is after them as well, they try hiding in a supply room, where hopefully the drone's flight patterns will block him. But SG just maneuvers atop these shelving units, then proceeds to catch a drone in a force field, then smash it into another. That's the exact same stuff he used to do at his old job at an Amazon warehouse. But his manager Josh can't fire him this time! And look at all that detail! It looks like his entire body is flexing. Quite the departure from the previous pages. Jay starts hacking a pair of security doors while Jan buys him some time, managing to hit Space Ghost with one of her laser blasts. The doors reboot, giving the pair and their monkey mere seconds to dash into the other room before they lock shut again. Jan accidentally drops her weapon, which is picked up by one of two men in uniforms and large helmets. They're Galactic Patrol officers, wanting answers about what happened.
Well, it all started when our dad wanted to create a cryptocurrency that wasn't an elaborate and legally dubious money-making scam.
The kids hug the patrollers, a first for them, and are apparently the only survivors of the attack the two have found so far. One asks if the kids might know why they've been targeted, to which Jan says no, but Jace chimes in, pretty certain the pirates were after their dad's research, the binary language integrated prototype, Blip. The neural implant on the monkey's noggin enables him to learn things faster than any normal chimp, even though Blip looks a lot more like a capuchin. It can be hard to detect syntax and tone from text on a page, so maybe it's meant to denote that the device enhances the intelligence of one lower primate, capuchin, greater than another lower primate, a chimp, the latter of which I believe are considered to be overall smarter in several ways.
It could revolutionize brain medicine!
Behold the death knell of Tucker Carlson's career.
Or even artificial intelligence! Maybe now my AI-generated images of Josie and the Pussycats in skimpy anime outfits won't have extra fingers on their hands or ears growing on their arms.
The captains, Sisto in red and Brack in blue, remove their helmets, intending on killing the loose ends in hopes of collecting a big payday with the prototype. Jace in his big fat mouth. That's when the ceiling starts giving way. Is it Thundercleese? Brack, did you feed his other fish a 3-ham omelet? No, it's our hero, just fine thanks to Jan leaving her blaster set to stun, busting through and figuring these officers are on the take from RoboCorp as well. Brack's heard of the mystery man. Some say he's an actual phantom, others a cop gone AWOL. Some say a caveman with a magic club, others a winged former superhero now turned lawyer. But whatever he is, the villain attacks, knocking off one of his power bands, while Sisto goes after the escaping Jace and Blip. They lead him into a hangar where the crooked space cop suggests the kid show himself and end this quickly. After a brief distraction, thanks to Blip, Jace hits a button on board a shuttlecraft he's hiding in.
I can't hear you over the sound of the jet engines! Or the sizzle of your horrifically charred corpse!
Yeah, pretty brutal way to go, even if a lot of the horror is off-panel. Anyway, the kid and his furry friend plan to head back to help Jan, who watches from a safe distance as Space Ghost's force field easily blocks Brack's blasts, even at close range. However, the clever villain notes how the condensed particles of the shield act as an excellent carrier for his subsonic grenade. While not seeming to have an effect on anyone else, the weapon incapacitates Ghost, though he remains defiant. Before Brack can test his theory that a maxed out charge of gamma rounds will go right through the hero's field and head, Jan intervenes, aiming that stray power band at him. Throwing an earlier remark back at the enemy, she fires, destroying the grenade. Brack just hates it when someone gets between him and his target, so as the girl braces for his retaliation, Ghost delivers one of the most epic punches I've ever seen, right into the villain's lower abdomen.
Oh, my sweetly spooch!
I'm pretty sure even the goofy version of Brack felt that. From Cartoon Planet to his Adult Swim sitcom and his variety show, the whole Magilla Gorilla. Heck, with the force of that hit, probably the whole Grape Ape. Brack managed to get a shot off, but fortunately it narrowly missed our young heroine. Jace runs in, hugging her, saying everything will be alright, but Jan doesn't think so. The Galactic Patrol is after them, their dad is dead, the colony is a wasteland. It's just them and Blip. Everyone else is gone. Space Ghost disagrees, reclaiming his weapon and assuring them he's here, as the comic ends. I know someone who could always use some heroic orphans.
I'll scan the space frequency modulator with my remote control ray to find Batman.
That was Space Ghost #1, and it was great. An excellent modern take on what some might call a cookie-cutter character. While they don't elaborate on much beyond rumor, it excellently builds mystique for this iteration. At first, he's like an actual ghost, able to outmaneuver Tanzit and get the drop in his crew. Brack cites some mutterings about who or what he might be, but is still savage enough to face him without fear, and clever enough to recognize some of the tech he uses, as well as counter it. Ghost has weaknesses that can be exploited, but he's still willing to fight when the chips are down. Jan and Jace seem to have very distinct traits shown to us. She's better with firearms, and he's the computer nerd. While their previous iterations were twins, and maybe they are here too, Jan seems to take on an older sibling role, more of a decision-maker in the absence of their parents. Jace, meanwhile, seems a bit more naive, like falling right into the dirty cops' trap to reveal what their dad's research is about. He has to be closely watched on the internet in case he really believes the Crown Prince of Space Nigeria wants to give him 5 million credits after he pays a security fee to transfer funds. Everyone knows Space Nigeria is run by aldermen. This definitely has a darker edge to it. Maybe a couple goons probably survived, Sisto most likely didn't, and I have my doubts about Brago, the one Space Ghost set on fire. While it can also be tamed to a degree, it shows this book isn't above offing certain characters, so far walking the line about how far our hero is willing to go. Maybe he doesn't actively look for people to kill. Maybe it's not something he set out to do right from the get-go. But he may not be above doing it if need be either. Though for all I know, a later issue shows Tanzit's crew recovering and Sisto wrapped up and needing ointment for his burns. Not to mention, they make Ghost seem genuinely frightening, not just to the bounty hunters, but to the kids. Sure, they figure he's just another enemy, but his stealthiness and pummeling Tanzit clearly made less than a good first impression on them. Those more familiar with the old show will recognize the more obscure villains, and I think Brack and Sisto calling each other brother may have been a nod to Coast, since the OG series never specified that relationship, only that they were of the same species. And speaking of, wow, just making their faces actually like that, organically. Quite the choice. I don't hate it, I don't think it was a bad idea, just wow. Before, Brack was basically wearing a mask with a small cloak on the back. Here, I suppose they decided to take some creative liberty. It certainly does enable them to be more expressive, whether in anger or intense pain. Man, what a great panel. The art really does a great job with the retro-futuristic aesthetic for weapons and other technology, while also modernizing classic designs so they don't feel out of date. Ghost, of course, doesn't get a redesign because, well, if you ask me, his look doesn't really need much updating. It has a timeless quality to it that can endure through the years just fine. So, yeah, overall, I don't have anything bad to say about this one. The biggest criticism I have is that Jan throwing Brack's "Stay Frosty" on the trigger line felt like it was trying a bit too hard to sound cool. But hey, she's a teenager, so maybe that vibe was intentional. I haven't read beyond this issue, but it's a great one to kick off a new era for this franchise. I definitely recommend it to fans of the character, and for those unfamiliar, I'd say check it out. Really well done all around. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.